Welcome to the MotherLoad, a parenting talk show with host Dr. Amy Stover, licensed psychologist, and Ann Brown, parenting educator. Each week, Amy and Ann invite parents just like you into the studio and discuss the trials of parenting. It's not your mother's parenting advice. And now, here's the MotherLoad.
Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Ann, and we're here today to talk about perfect parenting. We've invited two moms to join us to talk about this. We have Kristen and Tiffany, who each have 3 kids, so we should have a lot to talk about with trying to be perfect parents raising perfect kids.
Right, they're perfect parents. So let me tell you.
We're going to break that down.
So Ann, the other day I'm in the grocery store, and my girlfriend is there, and she's trying to get ready for a birthday party. And not a birthday party for a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, but like a 1-year-old. Right? So she's scurrying around the store, and she's trying to get pink napkins to match the pink cups, to match the, I think, some kind of like princess cake. And I run into her, and she's like sweating.
Oh, God.
And I am like, what's going on? And she is so fretting over this birthday party, right? And everything, and should she still go to the party store, and should she get the matching silver balloons? And she's actually has the phone number, hot dial, for the caterer for gourmet mac and cheese for this toddler party. And I wanted to just look at her and say, stop.
Right. Why didn't you? What'd you say?
I think I
You
tried to
give her your
help her
business
find
card?
I tried to help her find
Oh, don't go
pink
with that shade of
napkins
pink.
at first.
You really should be going with fuchsia.
But then after that, I think I offered to go to Party Central for her. God, that's a good question. So I messed that up, but.
This might be a good time to talk about the puppy you bought your kids on the way home from the last show.
I didn't mean to enable that behavior. But I felt helpless for her, and I could see that she was so stressed, and she really wanted this party to be just right for her daughter. But inside,
Right.
I'm thinking, this kid's never going to remember.
Well, I think that there's 2 problems. One is the kid will never remember and the mom's crazy. If you're listening, I don't mean actually crazy. I mean, come to us for help. But I think the other problem is when the kids do remember, and then it sets this bar for, oh, that's what a birthday party is supposed to be.
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of okay doing any kind of stuff when the kids don't remember, but when 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds start having these wait a minute, have you guys ever done that? I want to make sure I'm not insulting anyone first.
I had one, and then I decided on whatever you want to do today day instead of a party.
Oh, that's a great idea. Okay, so back to me.
Yes.
I think that what happens is kids start to normalize what we give them, and then that becomes a normal thing for a birthday party. And then the next birthday party, if you don't do that same thing, they feel like it's a lesser than birthday party. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's kind of, I like saying to parents, remember that the bar you're setting is not only a message for what you deserve, but this is going to come back every year. It's like, well, how come last year we went to France and this year we're at Chuck E. Cheese?
Right. Well, and this is what I
Because I don't like you this year. You've been awful this year.
Santa and I had a talk.
You don't deserve a party this year.
So I went to the birthday party.
Oh,
and
you
at
did?
Right.
It's
and-
really a friend.
Right. And at one point, my friend is in tears. I do have friends.
Oh, is it what's her face?
I'm not going to say it.
Okay. I know.
But she's in tears because something's not gone quite right during this birthday party. And I said to her, it's kind of like a wedding. You think it should be perfect, but nobody else is going to know. Right. And especially that, look at your toddler can't even speak yet, right? Your 1-year-old can't even speak yet. And they're certainly not going to provide any, criticism for this party. Anyway, but she was, stressed.
It really meant.
And I think that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today.
So where does
right?
that come from? Where does that feeling of all of a sudden everything that matters is encapsulated in your kid's birthday party, or everything that matters is encapsulated in how you did at, like when you were saying that you were asked to be auction chair,
Yes.
like, and all of a sudden to say yes or no is the entire thing of what kind of a mom I am.
Right.
Where do you guys think that comes from? That feeling of I have to do it exactly right, or do you have that feeling?
Well, can't we blame everything on Facebook and Pinterest these days?
And Instagram.
Right.
I mean, perfect photos.
So social
yeah,
media,
yeah.
right.
Well,
Social
yeah,
media.
whether you sign on to it or not, it's always there. Whether
Right, and the fact is, nobody wants to keep reading about how happy someone is and how well their life is going. I mean,
But
I don't know.
nobody posts on Facebook how crappy their morning was with their kids. They all post pictures about
Right.
things that are going wonderfully in their lives, right? Things when their child wins the race, when they have the perfect birthday party and everybody's smiling.
Right.
They're not taking pictures of your toddler in the grocery store melting down at the checkout stand, pulling the
Which
gum
is really
off
what we
of
want
the-
to see from each other.
Right.
If we're going to
Yeah.
build sisterhood, if we're going to feel like we're a community and we support each other, those are the pictures we have to see. Is the real stuff.
I had to have that conversation with my 5-year-old because we, of course, were invited to the classmate's birthday who was at the huge inflatable
Oh, yeah.
castle
Right,
with, you
right.
know, the cake and the whole bag of prizes plus a bowl of candy plus extra gifts and, you know, and the whole class was invited, where his birthday party was you can invite one friend and grandma and grandpa will be here and
Right.
we'll
and
have
we'll sit
dinner.
quietly in the living
yeah,
room
and we'll
think
make
about
you the
our
macaroni
year.
and cheese, but not the box kind you
Right,
like, so
craft,
it'll be
right.
even
Right,
more
right.
suffering for you. And, you know, then we had to have that conversation. Well, why can't we do that? You know, well, that's not how we celebrate birthdays.
Is that what
but
you said?
It was, and I think a little bit of I always like to drop in the financial aspect. Well, that costs a lot of money. And
Did
what's
your
more
5-year-old throw macaroni at you?
No, we, you know, shamed that out of him a long time ago. So.
Can I go off topic for a second?
Yeah.
So
This is not a surprise.
So I have a concern about
good.
using the money thing as
Yeah.
the reason.
Good.
I think that if we tell our kids the reason we're not going to buy something or do something because it's a lot of money, gives the message that if we only had enough money, we would get
do
everything we
that.
wanted.
Yes.
So
That's
it
true.
really has to be more of, this is a choice we've made to not spend our money on it. I think that, first of all, kids figure out really quickly when you say to them at a store, I don't have enough money, and they're like, well, do you have a credit card?
Right.
You know, or let's go to the bank and get money.
Or they
Yeah.
know
That-
you have the money. They know you have the money because
Right.
you've
Right.
bought 6 other things
Yes.
that day.
Yeah.
And basically what you're saying
your
now is
choice.
just a big fat
Right.
excuse.
Right.
Instead of saying, you know what, this just isn't our value.
Yep.
We don't
Right.
want to have this big birthday party where we give you presents and all of your friends. Since when did giving your friends presents count as the birthday party?
That's the
right?
part that gets me, is that you invite them to, I mean, when did this start? Where you invite them to this great party with cake. That used to be the gift, right?
Right, right,
Right.
And the
right.
highlight
right.
of the
Yeah.
party,
Right.
Yeah.
because you didn't get it every other
Right.
day.
And now it's the gift that you're giving everyone.
Are you,
That
I mean,
matches.
gift bag.
I'm
Yeah.
old and I don't do, and so with my kids' birthday parties, we didn't do that for Aaron's 33rd.
Right.
So are you saying that you buy actual gifts or not just
You
like,
buy
know,
a
little
bag,
pieces of
all the
junk?
bags kind of match, and you know,
All
I
the
think-
bags match the cups and the plates and the theme.
and the theme.
Yes.
And you're getting in the bag. You put maybe tattoos and whistles and money. I don't know what they put in there.
Decorated cookies that match the theme. It is putting money in there,
Yes.
right? I mean,
They may as well
essentially,
just give you a
right.
bag
I'd
of money.
rather. It's a bunch of plastic stuff that ends up
Yeah,
in your
usually.
house on the floor.
But
and-
how many of us throw that away anyway?
Yeah.
But we feel
90%.
like we have to have it, right?
Well, I like the idea of giving at a birthday because
Yes.
you get, and you get a lot usually, especially if you invite your whole class or whatnot. So I
Right.
do like the idea of giving a little something and showing at least generosity
Right.
or reciprocating that. But it does get excess, and it's usually not quality stuff. So, and usually from the birthday parties that we've been to, the kids have no input in that. So they don't choose.
Right,
I would
right.
like to
That's
give
a
my
really
friends
good point.
this.
Yes.
They
Right.
just, well, mom
Right.
bought some stuff, and now. You know.
Mom's alone at the store where you find her, taking care of the whole thing herself.
Yeah.
And the kids really have nothing, it's not organic at all, it's not coming from them.
Right. And they usually don't hand it out, at the party either. You know, usually everyone's so fried by the end, you kind of shove the bag on the way out.
While the
and-
while
yeah.
the other harried moms are running out the
Right,
door to get to
right.
their next event, right?
Because they're little.
And the thing is, I think it's the birthday party is the example, right, of this kind of pressure that we all face. But I feel like for parents today, this is pervasive. You know, this idea of having to be a parent just right. And I wonder where we're getting that message, right? Where are we getting this message to be a just perfect or just right parent, or that it needs to look a certain way?
I'm not sure where that's coming from. I feel that the most in camps and classes and things that I could put my kids into,
Right.
and what I choose to put them into, and then, you know, so-and-so's doing this or so-and-so's doing that. That's where I feel like maybe am I failing because I'm not putting them in these classes? And I don't know where that pressure's coming from, because I've never had anyone say you have to do this.
I always read when the kids were little, especially my oldest, he just got the worst parent for like the first 2 years because it was,
You mean your husband?
No, my little guy.
Your husband was the worst parent, though? Not you.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'd love to.
You know what's
show that one
awesome?
off.
When you have to explain your joke.
I know.
Sorry.
I know.
No, what I meant to
I'm
be funny was-
so exhausted. I don't get anything anymore. But well, I just realized that I was planning for this. Like, if I want him to be this fantastic person,
Yeah.
I want him to be honest and hardworking and compassionate, and I want him to grow up like this. How do I do that? Well, I have to start right now, and it has to be. I'm sorry, you can't do that, and we can't do this, and instead of kind of letting it evolve and doing it gently, I figured it had to be. You had to be on him all the time and really focus on that, and so. I think some of that for me bled into, well, I think I should start, finding that foreign language tutor.
Right.
And I should probably start, he needs to craft his symphony by like 6, right? That's about average now. I mean, to get to that bar, I had no idea how to get there.
So who told you that that's what you should be doing? What voice were you hearing that said, I have to be doing this?
Well, I think there's some subtle things. People would say, family or close friends, oh, don't you wonder what he's going to be when he grows up? Don't you wonder what he's going to be like?
Right.
Which spins my mind off into, what is he going to be?
Right.
Is he going to be happy? Is he going to be successful? What does that mean? And then you kind of spin off.
Well, and there's advice that I give often in my office, which is don't parent the child you want, parent the child you have, right? So when the child you have is a 1-year-old or a 3-year-old who's melting down, who can't even put a word together, let alone a foreign language, right? Versus the child that we want, which is, I think, constructed by greater society.
And that is really good advice and really hard to do. I mean, I know even with my own kids, it was really hard, and it still almost is, even though they're adults, to not look at them as this kind of checklist that I have to finish. I remember when my oldest son, the night before he left for college, thinking, oh my God, did I remember to tell him that when you go to somebody's house, you should bring a gift? It was like my checklist. I hadn't taught him what I needed to. And I think that one thing that I've learned since my kids have become adults is it wasn't about me. And I could have saved myself and my kids a lot of heartache and a lot of nagging and a lot of worry if I had just been able to say, who is this kid? Instead of, oh my God, here's all this stuff I have to make sure that they can read, I have to make sure they get into a good college, I have to make sure they can do all of this stuff.
But then, don't you feel like that society and our peers judge us like, well, she's a great mom because look at what her kids are doing, or look at that.
They see our
We
kids as
value
our product.
We value that.
Right.
And I think that a lot of that came from the message that my generation, which is that's not your generation, when we raised daughters, we said to you, you can have it all.
Right,
You can have
that's
it all
right.
because we were
That's
the
right.
products of the 60s and we were the products of.
This comes from the Perfect Madness book.
That's right. It just throw off your shackles. But what we forgot to tell you guys is you're not going to be able to have it all at once.
Right.
And I had a mom in one of my classes once say to me, I don't even know why I went to law school because here I am taking care of my kids. And the answer is, it will come in time. We really forgot to say to you, there's a time for everything. And if you're going to have kids and you want to be with your kids, don't use that time to be thinking, okay, so I have this great college education, I have a graduate thing, so when I do the PTA meeting, I'm going to do a flow chart,
Right.
And I'm going to have,
PowerPoint
and I'm going to get
right.
this, and that's why you walk down the aisles of Target, because you're like, well, I used to be an event planner, so I know how to do this, and it's not appropriate at all for what kids need.
I think you're right. I think there was this message, Anne, that you can do anything you want. And what our generation has interpreted that is, so therefore, you should do everything
Right,
you
I have it
can.
all.
You
And
have
do
all
it
these-
well.
And do it all perfectly.
And do it early.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what you can't do. You can't plagiarize papers. And I got an email yesterday from my son's teacher saying that he plagiarized an entire clipped and pasted, cut and pasted an entire paper. And so
How old is he?
13.
2.
Yeah, I know.
She has her kids writing papers.
For his new
And
book.
so I'm just sitting here thinking, a birthday party at 1? No, you have to
Right.
like where did I go wrong? I thought that was something that everyone knew, that you weren't supposed to plagiarize papers.
It wasn't on your checklist. Remind son that plagiarism is not okay.
Well, wait a minute. Do you think that he did it because he didn't know that you're not supposed to?
I think he did it because he wanted to, he's a very good student, and this was something, he chose a topic that was over his head for an argumentative essay.
Right.
And he thought, well, that sounds good.
Actually,
That's a
this is
well-written
awesome.
paragraph.
This is an awesome topic because you see how the pressure goes even to the kids, this idea of if we have to be the perfect parent and raise the perfect kid, the anxiety on the child is, I have to do anything to get an A. And so, I mean, it's that test, well, you'll know because you're the doctor, but that study that talked about kids taking risks, and when they told the kids that they got straight A's on a test, the kids did not want to take a harder test because they didn't want to risk not getting straight A's. And so it's really the same topic about being perfect, keeping your perfection.
Yeah,
But even with parenting, I don't want to risk taking an afternoon and blowing dandelions and watching a movie. I mean, we have work to do, guys.
Right,
Like,
right.
you got to get to all of your tutors and get
and don't even look at the kitchen. I mean, come on, I can't
Right.
possibly, you know. And
Here's the thing I think is important though, Kristen, and that is the reason your kid plagiarized isn't because of anything you did or because of the kind, but because he happens to be a 13-year-old and he was impulsive and he made this decision in the moment because he was maybe a little bit lazy and wanted to get a good paper, right? Part of what that I want parents to know is that so much about what your kids does, 98% of it, is free will, right? They're going to do what they're going to do regardless of how fabulous we are as parents because they have their own abilities to make decisions, right? And as soon as we collectively understand that message as parents that, you know, you are not a bad mom because your kid plagiarized.
But that email.
Right, scathing.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Not a great moment.
Wow.
You felt like you had failed.
Oh, totally. Like, I forgot that camp.
Right.
Plagiarism camp. You know, it's the big things that start popping up.
Right.
It's funny how we worry about gift bags and birthday parties and what
Manners.
camp. And then you get an email from your 7th grade. Like,
Although I suppose that a preschool parent has that same lurch in the stomach when they get an email from the preschool teacher saying, you know, we've had some biting, you know, or we've had
cut
some
their hair off.
Right, we've had some issues, or your kid said this word and called me a you know what.
you're for sure thinking he's going to be in prison in
That's
like
right.
10 years.
That's right. You kind of
that was my first thought. I'm like, oh, now he's cheating and lying. Awesome.
We know what road we're on.
Is there a prison for plagiarists? I don't know that he'll really be doing hard time for it.
That's where my mind went.
But I think that it really can be in any age. Eventually, every single one of our kids is going to do something that's going to humiliate us or terrify us or make us feel ashamed. And that's when we have to really do our work about which part of this is me and which part of it is my kid. Because we could make ourselves crazy if we think that every single thing our kids do is a reflection on us.
So how do we start to tell ourselves and model for our kids good enough, right? That we're good enough, that paper is good enough, that if I'd been in my right mind in that moment, and I think I helped my friend once I got past trying to help her match the napkins, saying, you know what, white's going to be good. It doesn't have to all match, right? Let's just make sure that there are napkins to wipe the slobber off the toddlers' faces, right?
Right. Or paper towels.
Right.
Right.
I would get paper towels.
Paper
Or
towels.
I
leftover
know it's not the
Christmas
point.
ones. You know,
It's not the point of this show, but I would get paper towels.
How do we say to our friends, to ourselves, to each other, this is good enough?
Right.
What does good enough look like?
And to be able to say it to our kids with authenticity. Because sometimes this is what this is good enough sounds like to our kids. It's good enough. And because we're just pissed.
Right.
But it's really about owning that what we are doing is good enough. And I think that is one of the hardest things in raising kids today, because could you imagine saying to your family and to your friends, well, you know, this crappy school is good enough for my kid, and, you know, they don't need to go to camp, playing in the dirt's good enough for my kid. Whereas there is a lot of truth in saying some of these things. I don't think that our kids should be raised feeling that they deserve the best of everything. And somehow we have equated I can with I should.
I should. I
And
will.
I will, and you deserve the best, and so then you get the best. You know, this is my theory about Starbucks. I like Starbucks. I go to Starbucks all the time, although we have been brought to you today. Our coffee is by Pioneer Pediatrics. But the thing about Starbucks is our kids are in line with us, our young kids. we say to the barista, I want my coffee this way, and they give it to us.
Half decaf, skinny, no
And if it
foam.
has a quarter-inch more foam, we say really nicely, you know, you gave me
not
a
quite
quarter
right.
inch. And they say, I'm so sorry, not only do you have it exactly how you want it, but here's a coupon for the next time.
Right.
And what our little kids, a 4, 5, 6-year-old is learning is you deserve to have everything exactly the way you want it every single time. And it's a really difficult message because the fact is we as an adult, we feel like, well, I do deserve it. It's my money. I work hard. But what is the message to your child? And then your kid says at home, I don't like it when you put the zucchini that way. I like it when you put it that way. And then we're like, well, who raised you? Well, we did, you know, when they hear us at Starbucks.
Deserve is an interesting word. I hear that a lot in my house. I deserve a new phone. I deserve to go on this sleepover. And
Right.
I don't think there's an understanding of,
Well, so that's another thing I think
Right.
that impacts the perfection
Oh,
of
yeah,
parenting, right? Is
absolutely.
that there is so much that we can have right now
Yes.
that's right at our fingertips, right? And I think some of that's social media. I think some of that comes from our society. There is the have it your way right now. I'm going to make it perfect for you, right?
Right.
And so then. Of course, kids feel like I can change it, I deserve it, I should have it, it's right there, right? You can afford it, I see that you can, without saying, no, we have enough. This is
Well, especially with the books who say, you really need to culture this independent-minded person, and
Right.
you really need to nurture that so that they'll be independent thinking and they'll know all this and find their passions. Well, what if that's their food doesn't touch, every day,
yeah.
all day long?
What are your hobbies?
Yeah.
They're only
Making sure
eating
my food
mayonnaise.
doesn't touch.
Do we say, okay, I understand that that's you and that's your individual and
Right.
and your passion and I'll help you with that, or do you say, tough kid, that's the way things, it's slop around here and it's take it or leave it.
So maybe it's not good enough. Maybe it's enough.
Right.
Right? It doesn't even have to be good.
Right.
It's just okay to say it's enough, right?
Right.
And that includes, I think, Tiffany, being able to say to your friends, to your kids, to anyone, you know what, we are just going to go outside and blow dandelions. you know, because it's enough for us today. You know, yesterday I missed a Girl Scout meeting because my kid was tired. Right. I love Girl Scouts, but we had had enough.
But what about your example of commitment, Amy?
Right. And so the only way we can do is keep
Right.
modeling that, right? To
Right.
say, you know what, you might not get the badge today. We might have to make it up, or we don't have to make it up, but we're just going to rest.
Right, and you brought up such a good point, Tiffany, because then in our own heads, we're struggling, well, I'm supposed to teach my kids stick-to-itiveness, and I'm supposed to teach my kid commitment, but how do I also teach my kid that you don't have to always reach the very top? That sometimes it is really just good enough.
And this reminds me of the grocery store. When you take your infant to the grocery store, your toddler to the grocery store, and they're really cute, and everyone, you know, the old ladies all want to talk to them, and the cashier, the creepy cashier, wants to give them a sticker, and they're, you know, there's your blown expectation.
Right.
You think, you know, it's your firstborn, you think that all toddlers are like, thank you, and take the sticker and smiling and hi and all this because someone waves at them. Well, they're not.
Because they're tired and they
They're
haven't had enough
tired.
yet. You're tired.
They're
and-
moody. And that was my first moment of noticing that, oh, he's his own person.
Yeah,
And
he
he's
let you
kind of
know.
crappy.
right.
Right.
He let you know. But my 3-year-old, once I was with him at a kind of a business thing, and someone said, "Hello, little boy, what's your name?" And he said, "Shut up!" And I was like, "Okay, great. This is a business thing. What am I supposed to do?" And you know, at that point, you just say, "We're working on manners." And of course, he was like, "No, we're not. We're not working on manners." But I had to just keep saying to that person, you know. It's right now. This is what we're working on. I'm not a perfect parent. He's not a perfect kid.
It's a good place to end on, right? That you're not
is.
Anne is not a perfect parent.
What have we learned from today?
What have we taken, Anne?
I'm not perfect. In fact, I'm wearing 2 different earrings, and I didn't even notice until I looked in the monitor. So, I didn't do that on purpose because it's a show about not being perfect. So,
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you
Kristen,
guys so much.
Thank you so much for being here today, Tiffany.
you can find us on Facebook at the MotherLoad,
Not your mother's parenting advice.
the MotherLoad, not your parent, and yeah.
Not
there.
your mother's parenting
And we want to
advice.
thank Pioneer Pediatrics, who is our sponsor today. And remember, don't parent like my co-host.
The MotherLoad has been brought to you today by the following sponsors: